Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me thank Mr. Raja for inviting me to participate in his ongoing efforts of organizing various seminars. For the last 3 years, I've been associated with him to bring the best of the minds of the maritime world to, exchange the various ideas and priceless information amongst us. I'm also to be honored to be amongst the August gathering this afternoon with well-known personalities from the maritime world. My name is Captain Rajkumar, and I think it seems that Littoral has told me much more than what I knew about myself. I'm presently serving as a Deputy Director, Naval Maritime Academy, and I'm still serving with the Indian Navy. I intend covering, I was not aware of this, the topic. I was a little confused when I taken aback, but I'll try and give my kind of an extempore speech on that topic also at the end of this. Two major burning topics which I'm going to briefly cover are, I think as part of that has been covered by both Mr. Rastogi as well as Captain Iyer. But I'll be covering it a little further and take it beyond, the thought process of what they have covered. My scope of the brief is going to be as flashed on the screen. So the emerging trends as well as the adaptive teaching learning kind of platforms which are available today. The techniques have been taught, how they are going to, how it has been happening so far has been done. So we are just going to take a little ahead and then see what is the way ahead and conclude with that. Small introduction about NAMAC. Some of you must have heard about NAMAC, Naval Maritime Academy. Today I felt very proud to see cadet from the first batch of Vikrant cadets, pre-sea cadet training to be amongst us. I was very pleased to see him, and I'm very, very proud to see a captain from the NAMAC trained pre-sea cadet here. It's a very small organization. When we started in 1998 with just 4 basic STCW courses, and then we grew up in statures, in stature as well as the status. And the next two and a half decades, we have now conducting more than 60 odd maritime modular courses primarily, no competency, it's only modular courses. We are looking at competency, but it's going to take time. The most important thing about NAMAC is that being a part of the Navy, it takes pride in instilling disciplined professional training and stretch out its arm to help out the maritime counterpart. This is our main aim so far and so forth. This is also run as a nation building activity, as it was mentioned by the erstwhile shipping minister about a decade and a half ago. NAMAC has changed over majorly in the last decade and a half, especially in the last decade and a half. It insisted on prevailed upon giving professional training by upgrading its infrastructure as well as adapting its teaching pedagogy. NAMAC has faced many challenges on its journey, the major being NAMAC could never be competitive financially. We have always stayed behind when it comes to finances. You will not find many of the NAMAC advertisements. You will not find any of us appearing in any kind of projection in any way. But we stuck to our quality despite taking a hit on our commercials. In any case, we work on marginal profits to keep the MTI going on, especially improving its infrastructure. NAMAC stuck to strict discipline. That is one thing which we have been always insisting on. Wherein in the bygone years, when the assessment were done by the MTIs, NAMAC was never afraid of failing a student for not completing his course successfully. And this has brought a lesser number of cadets or candidates, I could say. But two things, the positives which we took. One, we ensured that the candidates learnt the subject. Second, the companies respected the NAMAC certification very much. NAMAC looks like to look ahead and takes whatever critics and criticism comes on its way so that we can improve upon that. Training worldwide has undergone a huge transformation thanks to the exponential changes in the technology and available data to mine. I'm quickly going to discuss a few of these, many of which is known to the August gathering. It has already been covered once or twice before, but it is important that the same be emphasized and implemented in the training on board or training cogwheel of the MTI. First and the foremost is the digital literacy. We are a very peculiar training organization. When I say peculiar training organization, I meant the whole of the maritime fraternity, all the MTIs put together. The spectrum of the candidates come to the MTI, especially for the basic courses, in large terms of language, in terms of IQ, EQ, basic standards, experience. It's crazy, and all walks of life. I've taken classes for DST. You can find some cadets sitting there, and a person who's just going to go as probably a seaman into that particular ship. And it is very difficult to integrate your training part of it. That's the place where the experience of the trainer comes into fore. It is imperative that the technology be enmeshed. Now the technology is taken in a big way. It has been brought up, like, artificial intelligence. People have talked about the technology coming in, the apps coming in. Everybody is now these days with a mobile. So you need to kind of access. Now the problem is not the candidates. The problem is the trainers. The trainers are the ones now, okay, I'm getting old, but there are people who are a little elderly in nature to me. They found it difficult to take the online classes when it came onto the, during the COVID precautions. So you need to somehow get the digital literacy going for everyone, inclusive of the trainers and as well as the trainees. You will find that a couple of trainees will come saying that I don't have a laptop. Not because of anything else, but they are from the background, financial background which they're coming from. Second is the access to library and media. It has been brought out by Captain Iyer during his presentation, that access should be given 100% for the candidates. And it's not only that the access being given and provided to the candidates, but you can, I'm sure that everybody will vouch for it today, that how many of you have seen your children taking up a book and reading? We all have done it during our days. Youngsters these days don't even touch books. Everything is online. They just open up a particular, Google or some Kindle or whatever it is, but at least let them have the reading habits. The reading habits has to come into play, and what they are going to read is also very important. And the most important is the sources from which they are reading. Today, 80% of the people who are going to discuss about politics and everything else which is there, for which you will find that everybody is so, a master in it, because till day yesterday it was COVID, then suddenly it turned out to Ukraine. Yesterday onwards has been elections. So everybody is a hero, everybody is top, but everything is based on the WhatsApp resources. It's not going to help. Next one is the independence to develop their own profession should be encouraged. This has also been brought up by my preceding speakers. Individuals must be given a chance to stand up and provide. And it was very clearly brought out by Captain Iyer that it is not going to help in the initial stages of the training. It is much for the higher stages of the training, especially the competency, maybe the chief mates, masters, or chief engineers, etc. So it is very, very important that the individual present his own views, and that is the place where the trainers will have to come into play to encourage the candidates to come up with these ideas and see what that person is capable of doing. And to this effect, there are very, very many applications are available today all over the world, and it's very easily downloadable in your mobile and then access it and take on. It can be innovative, it can be interactive, and interactive whiteboards are the one particular example that I would like to give. And there is a one game application which is called Kahoot. Now some of you must have heard about it, but the thing is that we already have those things implemented in the maritime sector in some way or the other. So that I'm going to cover a little bit later. So NAMAC used to conduct a multi-level VICT assessment to his candidates. Commander Sharma, my guru, is sitting right behind. And we used to conduct this kind of assessments at multi-level. And we used to bring the candidates to open a demonstration room and take whatever equipment you want, give a 5-minute lecture. So these kind of things will definitely encourage, especially not the masters, not the chief officers or chief engineers, but definitely the instructors. The most important thing which was discussed by ex-DG Shipping also is regarding the pandemic, and some of you have brought it up. Pandemic has really brought us down to Mother Earth, and it is it has hit a lot on the humanity, and everybody has got exposed to pandemic. For those of us who are here, I first of all would like to thank the COVID warriors who selflessly worked through the last 2 years to fight the pandemic. Be it the nurses, doctors, or the health workers, or anyone in uniform, not in uniform, including the people who were giving the last rites to the dead bodies in crematorium as well as the graveyards. Thank you. Some of these warriors have given the life, which will not go in vain, but, sorry, I'm getting senti about this, but will be remembered like those unknown soldiers who... Okay, first and the foremost thing which we need to discuss about is the well-being of everyone, whether it's a candidate or it's the faculty or it's the admin staff. NAMAC lost one staff, who was my training staff because of COVID last year. So we need to be taking care of that particular part. And when a candidate comes into the room, now I think DG Shipping is going to come out with the order very shortly, probably today or probably by Monday, that in-class training is going to commence. So it's already come? Okay, so I didn't see that order. So it is going to commence. I think it's from Monday onwards, it's going to in-class training. So what are the precautions that you're going to take? Now it is our responsibility being a part of the MTI to ensure that the well-being of the candidate as well as the staff is going to take place. Now stress on the faculty is also there. Now we all have seen that generally the faculty who is going to come is of a senior person, aged people who are going to travel all over the world by train, by bus, whatever, whichever way, they may be exposed. Not only because of that, this COVID has brought out the demons of various stress levels in every family. Trust me. And you know, the wife is not probably, if the wife is not working, the wife is not used to husband staying at home. The husband is not used to wife being at home if she is working. In my case, both of us are working. My son is not used to seeing both of us at home, and then he sees both of us in the thing and sitting on top of his head, study. So it has brought out a lot of other demons out, and you can't go outside, you can't exercise, you can't eat the food which you want. It is completely changed. The stress is very high on everyone. Staff retention is also another problem. Now all this while, for the last 2 years, online classes have been taking place. First we had to train everybody, take online classes, so we got them trained. Now they got used to the comfort of staying at home and teaching. In-class training already 2-3 people have put in the papers. So staff retention is going to be a problem for all of us. Next one is the artificial intelligence. Some of us which is brought out of the artificial intelligence. Whether you like it or not, it's there to stay. Artificial intelligence is just not about taking over the world, or in my opinion, but it is already taken over the world if you don't know. Simple thing is that you just switch on your app for Swiggy, and you will decide, you have decided in your mind, I will have only vada pav, just for example, or maybe say pav bhaji. But when the moment you switch on, the history of yours will come and it will twist and turn, and it will give you choices that you can't refuse. And your mind is now from pav bhaji, it is now going to chicken dish, something else, and then it is going on beyond. And not only that, sweet dish after that. So ultimately that AI has taken over your mind. It is happening on a day-to-day basis, gentlemen. So you have to be careful about this and how. Somebody was mentioning about, I think it was Denzel Washington. I just saw some WhatsApp group and he was telling about it. You want to see how much you're addicted to your mobile? Switch off your mobile for 1 week and see can you stay without a mobile. Can you all do that? Nobody can do. That means you are an addict as far as the mobile phone is concerned. Exam patterns. Now, I think this was brought out, online pattern, online exams. It's not an easy thing to do. Because when it comes to proctored examination, when you actually do the original version of the proctored, like VUE, Pearson's and other stuff like what you do for GMAT, GRE as well as PMP and all this stuff, it's a different kind of a level at which the exams are taken. You can't, first of all, your computer will be taken over by them, not for your personal data, but what other things which you are accessing on the computer. And we are Indians, so we need to be a little bit more careful than to, try and outsmart them. Anything which is connected to the laptop, they will know what is the unit which is connected. So if there is another parallel screen which is given on the other side, somebody else is operating it, this guy will know whether it is being done or not. So all these things are there. So it is not an easy thing to come up. I think DG Shipping and IMU is doing a very good job, in my opinion, trying to get the Proctor thing going. There's a small thing which I just need to say. Exactly 2 years back, 14th March 2020. Today's 10th, right? 10th, 11th. On 14th March 2020, we inaugurated our examination center because the DG Shipping said that the examination center had to come. We inaugurated the examination center, 24 station. And we invited one of the DG Shipping official to come and inaugurate, and everything was done. And it was a Saturday. So we went and had a party, everything was done, lunch was done, we went. Sunday, Monday we shut down. For the next 2 years, it is shut down. Exactly after 2 years, we are going to open up now. You can, so in the last 2 years, you can imagine the tension which we have, the kind of justification I had to tell my headquarters. It's not in the Navy, every penny counts, and then we have to tell them that this is what is required, this is what has to be done. So the maintenance which has been done in the last 2 years over the computers, I need to call for a person to come, switch on every single computer, and then it's a system which needs to be done. Anything can go fall. And still, despite that, 3 computers fail, a lot of weather has taken place, so we need to do that. COVID precautions, I've already mentioned that, I'm not going to go through that again. Remote learning and hybrid learning has been working out well. To some extent, I think it has worked out. The thing is that, as an instructor, how do you feel? I mean, you feel that you're talking to a wall. Now you make every student switch on the video, then you need a higher kind of a bandwidth for conducting the training. Because all the video, everything is coming in and going out, and then you need to talk, you need to project your PPT. So there is a problem. So when you tell them, shut down your videos, now you don't know what those guys are doing, whether they are there only or not. How do you know? How are you going to keep them interacting? And our training is not interactive way of giving lectures. MTA training is completely different. So we need to probably look at changing these kind of, in case if there is an online training has to take place. Now the next part is the adaptive learning platforms. Now I'm going to go a little, everything has been covered. So adaptive learning means, a personalized training technique to suit the individual's learning preference. So how the individual wants to learn, the adaptive platforms is going to use itself and tunes itself to the requirement of the candidate or the learner, whichever way. So this is done primarily through data mining. You also must have seen, in your, when you go for your Google search or a Mozilla search or whichever search you want to do, and you type, say, MTI, and for the next 5 or 6 searches, the results will be coming something related to the MTI. And so that is all artificial intelligence which is working at the background, and it is trying to tune you to that particular area. Now, when I'm doing data mining for a particular subject which I'm going to do, the subjects or the results which are going to be thrown up on the screen is going to be based on this. It is already happening, but then the adaptive learning is all about that, especially when you go in for the education purposes, those kind of platforms which are available. One size never fits all. That's one of the most important thing, because everybody learns in a different way. Some of the salient features of this particular platforms which are there, the software platforms which are available are it's just flashed on the screen. I'll quickly go through. First of all, it's a technology based, and nothing human relation, the human face is not there in this particular thing, especially for the initial part of it. Then adapt the e-learning content according to the learner's choice. So what the learners want, only those things will be appearing in the particular thing. It is never a supplement to the teaching, and it always provides to encourage the self-learning process of a particular individual. So whatever the candidate needs to learn you need to be able to encourage the candidate to get on with the learning rather than adding as a supplement to what has been taught to him. No, it is very important. It's a little different from that. When the individual wants, only when the researches will appear, otherwise it is not required. So that is what learner specific kind of results will come. Every individual approach is researched differently and can pace his own learning. Yes, to some extent the individual will be laxed, he will not read, he will not have a discipline, like what Capt has brought out, that it is probably futile when it comes to the career training. So that is how we need to, but we need to kind of motivate whichever way that we can. Okay, we also discussed about feedbacks. So it is very important to respond differently to the multiple forms of the feedback which is going to come. And design of the delivery lecture can be in many ways. Normally what happens is that when, as an instructor, as a lecturer, when you go to a class, you have a set model of giving a lecture. For a career training, if you want to say take a nautical subject or any kind of a regulatory subject, you just have a fixed pattern. You don't even think of what is there, and then you just give your lectures for 1.5 hours and then you walk out. It is not going to happen. You need to prepare every time you go into a class, and preparation takes twice as much as time that of your delivery, and then you go and deliver it. And it's very important that you need to change your delivery every time depending on what the crowd is, what the students are, and what is expected out of you. Data mining is done to get the resources that we have discussed this. I'm not going to discuss it anymore. There's something called studio pedagogy, and it is followed by many universities and colleges. It is also being followed by MTI without even knowing that they are following it. So the teaching is beyond lectures, seminars and discussion. So this happens generally not in the junior classes, it happens in the senior classes, or in case of any practical oriented classes. So this is the one which we need to follow, because the classroom becomes a workspace. You will be able to give independent charge to the candidate and try and bring out. There are many people like today Capt. Nachundan was asking questions. Many people know answer, only 2 or 3 people got up and answered. Others don't want to come. Maybe they don't want, they are feeling shy. Maybe their answers are wrong. So this is what you need to try and avoid, and you need to bring everybody out. And then, so for that what you have to do is, the instructor needs to step down from the pedestal which he is standing on and be a part of the student. Otherwise the student will never get up to be a part of the class. So this is very important. This is one thing which I have learned. I used to take VACT class along with Captain Commander Sharma. This is one thing which I always tell my VACT students, that they are all maybe more senior to me than in age and experience. Sir, if you have ego in the classroom, you will never be a good trainer. You will not be a trainer. You will be just a person who will just come, read out something and go, but you can never train a candidate if you have ego. Please shed that ego. The studio pedagogy involves learning, play, design, digital literacies, involves the things which are flashed on the screen. One of the things is that collaboration is, I think it's been covered by by Rastogi, that particular collaboration part of it, sustained group work, etc., experiment, creativity, all these things comes into play. I'm not going to go into this deep. Okay, some of the platforms which are there, is that which is being followed today is by a very famous institute for the architecture. Architecture institutes which are being conducted, which are there in all over India, especially the Ahmedabad ones. There's something called the National Aptitude Test in Architecture. Now, the candidate need not have any prior preparation. Whatever the 12th standard knowledge what he has got, that is taken. Why? Because in architecture something which is you want the candidate's mind to run wild, imagination to run wild, and that is what the architecture comes into play. You'll find some weird building which is there, and you'll find that how did he build this building at all, and it's just standing on some particular thing. And it's all architecture, it's all visionary, and this is what is going to be checked. And for that, this is what the exam pattern which is going to take place is based on certain inputs which he is going to do, and then based on the reply which the candidate gives, the whole program will divert and ask more and more questions, going into the depth to what extent that candidate knows on that particular topic. So this is a pattern which needs to be done in many ways. It can be useful in, say, seamanship, ROR situations, navigation, especially for the SMS and Ransco situations, etc. I'll give you 3-4 scenarios quickly. I won't take much of time. How this can be utilized in scenario. Like in first scenario, you define that this is the minimum skill which is required and this is the minimum standard needs to be achieved. Simple. And this is exactly what we are doing now in our simulators. So within the time frame available, the student is being coached to bring to that particular knowledge level, and then he is handed over to the next level, that is for your exams and other stuff. Second is, you have a skill set, but he has to be refamiliarized. This is also a classic case that we are doing, is refresher courses. He has already got the skill sets, he has had experience at sea, but he needs to be refreshed in his particular knowledge, only that particular part. So he comes for a 1 day, undertakes the refresher course and then goes. Not only that, he can update. Now, master's refresher and updating training, I think, has been called off. But if it is there, this is what actually it has been doing. And the third scenario is, of course, enhancement of those already qualified to a bare level. That is the level at which we were discussing about the PhD, innovativeness, the way in which he can go into the other sectors like ship management, etc. Now, how we can utilize this is that at the cadets level, pre-seat level itself, or at the second mate level or whichever level, if you can find that a particular person is not very good at sea, but can be useful, say, in the legislatory or in any other level, you push him at that level. Why do you want to make him second mate, chief mate? Then you tell him, okay, go and man the shipping agent. Not required. At the earlier age, you can just move him out, and then this is what is the pedagogy he is talking about. And this is exactly what is happening in the ICSC schools or ICE schools or something. That's IGCSE, yeah, IGCSE, that is your foreign, this is exactly what they find out. A student is known that he's got a flair to English, flair for English, or he is very good in arts and this thing. So he is pushed into that and then he goes on into that particular part. Okay, purpose for adaptive learning tech is basically to, it focuses on student and achieves the set educational goals. It will ensure that. Third is it improves the quality and the quantity of the student's learning, and last but not the least is evaluating the student at work. Evaluation of the student is very, very important of it. Now, evaluation also, I'll just bring in a particular small thing which is there, that, we have this, in the IMU exams, we have this multiple choice questions. Now, multiple choice out of 4, 1 has to be correct. So you tick, either he gets 1 or he gets 0. But if you go into GMAT, GRE or TOEFL and those kind of PMP and all, you will find that the scenario is given and the questions which are given is all suggestions, and you need to choose the best suggestion possible, and there is no wrong answer. So the best situation for that particular, the best solution for that particular situation can carry 1 mark. The next best situation can carry 3/4 mark, but it is never given 0. Now, I do not agree with the IME pattern of examination as of today for the cadets with negative marking. Negative marking is done for something different, where the candidates are all competing with each other with a high quality of results, where you are not able to distinguish because everybody seems to be getting the high marks. So what you need to do is to start calculating the percentile. So when you start calculating percentile with respect to one particular student, either he goes up or down, and by creating logarithmic differences, that is the way the negative marking will come help. I don't know, but this is my view. Others can take it up from the sector. Platform assist in the following actually focuses on the learner unique learning paths. So that is just give me 2 minutes, I will finish it. And eliminates irrelevant learning, because what is not required is not going to appear, and boost learners' confidence. These are the 5 tools which are available. I'm just flashing you just 5 tools which are there. First is the nuance. I think it's already been spoken about speech recognition. It's been there for ages, and nuance is one of the later version which is there, which will actually sort out a lot of problems for the people who are writing long stuff. And Quarium is one for the, which you can think of implementing in the cadets training, because it has something to do with the science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And it is a tutoring lessons and is very, very important. So Quizlet is something which we already have, like ROR simulator, electronic ROR simulator. Canopy Lab is something to do with the social learning platform to develop competencies. I found that this is maybe useful for Master Medicare and PSSR, where you're talking about social responsibilities, personal safety. Sir was bringing about some suicide cases. So, probably this can have some interaction kind of a thing. Kahoot is already we are covered. Way ahead, emerging trends needs to be harnessed, and it needs to be kept and brought, and we should marry ourselves into that particular emerging trends. We need to introduce the latest tools and techniques and bring the faculty abreast. Faculty is the one which I'm insisting on, because cadets, even if he has not seen a mobile, he will pick it up in 2-3 days. But the problem is the people who are, certain age plus. Stress, well-being and staff retention, which I've covered. Support the steps taken by the DGS in its efforts streamlining the training in the last 2 years. I've never seen DG shipping so interactive ever in my past. I've been since 2007, seriously, since 2007 I've been attached with this DMAC, and DG shipping has been the most, and you give a call to the training department, they never refuse to answer you, at least they will tell you what it is. And for the last 3 weeks I've been asking for this, finally it has come. They never lost their head. They just cool about it, but they have been taking steps. They have ensured training has taken place. They have ensured seafarers are going to sea. They have ensured seafarers have come back from sea. I think kudos to DG shipping. Adaptive learning platform broaden the training of the MTIs to go beyond the standard training, especially. This is going to take a very large heart from the training part of it, because most of the time we just come business type and then we let go of the cadets. Adapting the value, evaluation the cadets to find their interest in a fixed part of time. I just wanted to give a small example of this, broaden the training, he is there, he will vouch for you. Probably in the first batch, I don't know whether it has happened, but in the second batch onwards, what we did was that we ensured the cadets were sent to all the kind of extracurricular activities which a naval cadet would have done. They went for horse riding, they went for boat pulling, they went for small arms firing, they went for sailing on Enterprise class, and they went for games, they went for swimming, they went for every water polo. And trust me, in the 4th and the 5th batch, last 2 batches of NAMAC, when we used to go for this athletic competition, we used to bag more than 2/3 of medal, and we used to come back, just 40 cadets. And I'm not blowing the trumpet, I've seen it happening, and it was really, really heartening to see the cadet training. Okay, like others, you also mentioned some quotes, so I want to leave some quotes for you. There are 2 parts, 2 quotes which are there. One is the human spirit must prevail over technology. AI, somebody brought out that AI is, they will do it, they will take over the world, all this stuff. One thing they cannot take over is the soul of a human being. So that is one thing which we need to harness and we need to preserve. Science and technology revolution lives, but it's the memory, tradition and the myth frame our responses. With this, I close my lecture. If there are any questions, I'm ready to take, sir.